Welcome to Passionaire Magazine, the podcast where we talk about business, tech, food and travel, fashion, health and fitness, the arts and culture, where we want you to live your passion. Passionaire Magazine, the podcast. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for Passionaire Magazine, the podcast. Today, we are going to talk about finding your passion. Now, I'm not going to give you any very, very long answers. Don't worry about that. But I do get asked the question many times of, well, how do you find your passion? Dr. Angela, you talk about walking in your purpose, walking in your passion, being empowering to others. Well, how do I do that? First, let's start with understanding what is your passion. If you don't know what you're passionate about, then perhaps that's the first thing that's keeping you from walking in that purpose and empowering others. I'm just going to look at 4 things that I think that are really important when determining what is your passion and how do you walk in it with all of the authority that you've been given. So the first thing I feel is that you should be authentic. You have to be you. Now, there's only one of you in the world. Even if you're a twin or a triplet or anything else, if you're a multiple birth, it doesn't matter. You're still you. There's something that makes you very special. Something that makes you just a touch different than your siblings, than your family members, your coworkers, and others in your space and community. So when you are authentic to who you are, you know, that little silly thing that you do, that odd thing that you do, that dry sense of humor you may have, or the way that you are able to see things outside of the box without being prompted first to try to see it outside of the box. Those little things that make you you. Perhaps you're an empathetic person and you can see how something could potentially cause another person harm or trigger an emotional response that may put them in a negative headspace, so on and so forth. Be authentic to who you are. Why is that important? Because you, my dear authentic person, are going to be the catalyst, the spark that is going to create, invent, bring about something that the world needs. Even if it's just a change, a twist, a new way of looking at a tried and true thing. Now, we've heard the expression that says that necessity is the mother of all invention. I could not agree more. We have the paperclip because he needed to hold his papers together. We have so many things in our world because someone with an inventive mind, someone who was a creator, was able to present us with the thing we ultimately needed. So be authentic to whoever you are. There is a crowd. There is a niche for you. And yes, we need you and your participation. The other would be to be inspiring. Whenever you do what you're doing and you're doing it for the purpose of the greater good. What do I mean by that? If you're not just doing it for yourself, but you're doing it for other people, then be inspiring in whatever it is that you do. Well, how do you do that, Dr. Angela? I'm so glad that you asked. Go ahead and let folks know that you are available for, that you love doing it. You liked this particular part about it. Or if there's a story behind what you do, share the story. Here's what I mean to make it a practical day-to-day application. So you've made cookies and everyone says, oh my goodness, these are the best cookies. Make sure you bring these to the next cookout or the next event. And you may say something like, oh, I'm so glad you enjoyed them. This was my grandmother's recipe. She shared it with me when I was 10 years old, and she used to talk about how she and her mother used to make these cookies blah, 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 right? That you're being inspiring because it's not only your love for cooking, your love for baking, that you are bringing the love of your grandmother and of your great-grandmother to the very event. So many times we overlook those very small things in the very day-to-day things that we do, but yet it is important. Just because you're doing something for your family does not mean that you are not being inspiring. There are so many things that I can think of that my mother and my grandmother have done that have inspired me to, in part, be the person that I am today. I think about my grandfather, my uncles, and my own dad, and think, oh wow, I guess I am a bit like them as well. We can gather inspiration from those that are around us. I have a science teacher that I talk about, that I've mentioned numerous times on my radio program. Why? Because he so sparked the desire to learn more about science, Mr. Mazaitis. Listen, there are people around us every day that inspire us. You too can be the inspiration for someone in your family, in your community, and for the next generation at large. I also believe that we should love fully. Whatever you love, whomever you love, do it with a whole heart. Do it with full expression. Why is that important? And what does that have to do with being or living, finding your passion? Well, when you love fully, you allow the all of you to be poured into the all of the next person. If you love puppies, and there are some people who like puppies, right? They like dogs. But then there are those of us that love dogs. Anytime you see a dog, you have a very hard time passing him or her by without wanting to give a little zhuzh and say, hello, baby, how are you? Right? I'm telling on myself, that's me. I love dogs. When I see them in the stores, I want to say hello and pet them and spend time with their humans. Now, of course, if they have on one of those little vests that say, I'm working, I whisper as I walk by, thank you for your service. Now, why is that important? I'm being my authentic self. I am pouring my love for dogs into their human, and that dog can sense my love and admiration for them as well. If that's you, keep doing that. Perhaps a way that you can show your love for your little fur babies is you may support a nonprofit organization that is pouring into making emotional support dogs available, or perhaps one that is supporting our veterans. Whatever makes you happy. But do you see how that helps you live your passion? If you haven't found your passion, perhaps that is it. Supporting organizations, creating your own organization, volunteering for an organization, or perhaps you have a skill set that would help a nonprofit in some way, shape, or form, and you could share your resume. Hey, if you have an opening for this, I think I would be a great fit. It could be a win-win for all involved. So when we are loving fully and we are expressing that love that we have, then people are able to not only perceive it, they pick up on it and run with it. They want that contagious love that you have around them. They want to be infected with your genuine, authentic love for the cause. Now think about it. The last time that you were at an event and someone was fired up about the cause, you feel it, don't you? You can tell the person that wants to be there versus the person who's only there out of duty. They're required to be there. If they don't, then they're going to be fined. If they don't, then they're not going to get their paycheck. If they don't, then they're not going to be able to do the next thing down the list because this is the prerequisite for attending that other thing. You can always tell the person who wants to be there. They're so excited to talk about their thing because the love just oozes out of them. The other thing that I think that you need to be, to help find your passion, help live in your passion, is to be spontaneous. Now, don't get me wrong. I know someone saying she always tells us to make a plan and work our plan. 1000%. Have a plan. Work the plan. Work the plan. Plan it. Plan it all out. From the smallest of details. Plan it out. Have those protocols in place. Have the contingency plans. Have everything that you are supposed to be doing. Everything that you need at your fingertips. Absolutely. But also and always leave room for spontaneity. How do you plan everything and be spontaneous? When you're taking questions, there can be that spontaneous question, that question that someone's going to ask you that you may not have thought of it exactly in that way because they are them and you are you, right? Someone's going to ask you a question that's phrased in a way that you may not have chosen that particular word placement. But that's okay because spontaneity is a beautiful thing. You want to plan for those spontaneous moments when you're on vacation and someone says, hey, let's get in the hot air balloon. That wasn't on your itinerary. But boy, not only is that going to make for good creative content, but it's going to make for a great memory down the road. You're going to remember that time that you spent with your family or with your coworkers. You're going to remember that vacation that you went on and you did that particular thing. And it was so in the moment and it was so much fun. See, being spontaneous allows us to tap into our kid-like imagination, our kid-like selves again. You know, those times where we weren't worried about bills or what people were going to think about us, what people were going to say about us, but we enjoyed life in the moment. When you live in your passion, you understand that being in those moments where you feel the breeze, where you enjoy the laughter, where you're not worried about the all and all, but you're able to laugh. You're able to smile. You're able to see people have their aha freedom moments in it. Oh yeah, those moments are worth it. They're worth every dime, every dollar, every minute, every hour that you have spent in the planning and in the working your plan. When you are able to spontaneously bring laughter or joy, happiness, peace, comfort, reassurance, confidence to someone else, yeah, it is not only good for your soul, but it is good for theirs as well. So as you find your passion, you will understand that it is those things that you should be doing more often that are going to bring about your walking in your purpose. Because when you walk in your purpose, you are letting your passions shine. When you are sharing your passion with the world, your purpose becomes elevated in that people are going to call on you to share that which you know. When you empower another person, you become more popular, not because it's you, like your name here, but because you are adding to the collective consciousness of the global community. And people want to know what you know. People want you to share what you have to share the way in which you share it. So be excited, be fired up, be spontaneous in sharing what you know. And you never know how you are going to allow someone else to catch fire, to catch what you have, and to move forward in their plan, in their fate, in their destiny, in their purpose, in their passion. So enjoy your life. Live in your passion. Thank you for listening to Passionaire Magazine, the podcast.